Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Jon Jones, he was praying that I would lose that fight against Curtis Blades, mate. Praying that I would. Because there is nowhere that you can find publicly, nowhere, him saying that he will fight me. It doesn't exist. I challenge anybody watching this interview to go and find a statement, a quote, a video where Jon Jones is saying that he'll fight me after he's fought Stipe. It doesn't exist. The guy's smart. And mate, the guy, we know he's a bit overweight these days. The guy was sat there, mate, with the Cheeto fingers or whatever, the Doritos on his fingers, with his iPhone in hand, waiting for me to get knocked out so he can start tweeting about it. Since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet, and he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires, because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
So, I mean, wow. That's like one of the coldest fucking statements I've ever heard in my whole life.
That is sick.
To walk away right now opens the door for people to start having the conversation about, does this affect the legacy? Because I feel like many decisions he made over the course of this last month, where he was hiccuping and he was stumbling all over the internet, and he was so present publicly. He was in that pool with the Russians, swimming, getting dipped, looking happier than he's ever looked in his entire life. He's talking about how much money he's making. He's talking in third person. All those hiccups. Ariel's judging him. Chael's judging him. I'm judging him. Bisping's judging him. Demetrius Johnson's judging him. Alexander Volkanovski's judging him. The people that matter to him are judging him.
And so Tom Aspinall could walk around now with his chest up, chin up, and say, I retired Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall retired Jon Jones. There is no doubt about that. Tom Aspinall's presence is the reason why Jon Jones is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. Jon Jones said yesterday, the fight doesn't excite me. You can make a strong case that this would be the biggest Jon Jones fight since DC2 in 2017. 2017. That's how long. With all due respect to the Anthony Smiths, the Thiago Santoses, the Dominic Reyes, even Cyril Gane and Stipe. You're telling me those fights were bigger than this? What doesn't excite you about this? In November, after beating Stipe, he's openly campaigning for an Alex Pereira fight. So if you sit here and say, Jon just didn't want to fight anymore, you're not being truthful. You're not telling the full story. Jon Jones retired because of Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones retired because of the presence of Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones retired because he did not want to fight Tom Aspinall. That is an unequivocal fact. Jon Jones will tell you that the reason he retired is because Tom Aspinall isn't a big enough name and there's no one else for him to fight. No, Jon Jones retired because he did not want to fight Tom Aspinall, and because there was a threat of Tom beating him, and there's a lot of equity, there's a lot of value in retiring undefeated. And so, hey, we made our money, we're getting a boatload to do Russian reality shows, let's just walk away. But look, if anyone wants to say that he retired and walked away because he did not want to fight Tom Aspinall, I'm agreeing with you. This is the heavyweight championship of the world. That's how you announce that Tom Aspinall is the king. That's how you announce that Jon Jones is retired. That's massive news. When Michael Jordan, the GOAT of his sport, retired, there was a huge press conference, and every single media member under the sun was there. Jon Jones's retirement is a throwaway, midway question in a press conference in the middle of the night in Baku, Azerbaijan. Does anyone else not see the lunacy in all of this? It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
There's a criminal complaint against Jon Jones. It stated that an Albuquerque police officer was investigating a traffic crash near San Mateo and Lomas when she came across a woman in the front passenger seat of one of the cars exhibiting signs of significant intoxication and lacking clothing from the waist down. I got this from the Albuquerque Journal, which was sent to me. The woman reportedly said Jones was the driver but fled the scene on foot. She then called Jones, the complaint stated, and the police service aide spoke to the man on the other end of the call, believed to be Jones. He appeared to be heavily intoxicated and made statements implying his capacity to employ lethal force through third parties, through the PSA. The court record stated the PSA requested backup after what was believed to be a threat, when a police officer then talked to Jones and said similar allusions to violence were made. The man on the phone never answered direct questions about whether he was Jones, the complaint stated. When interviewed in person a few days after the crash, Jones said the woman found in the car had left his house earlier in the day intoxicated and called him after getting in a crash, at which time Jones said the person she handed the phone to immediately opened the conversation with unprofessional language, which led to him doubting the legitimacy of the individual's claim. The woman later told police she drank alcohol and consumed mushroom at Jones's house and recalled needing to change her clothes at his house. And her next recollection was being at the scene of the crime, the traffic accident. She said the last person she remembered driving her car was Jones. The court record indicated. Police said Jones called the woman's phone 13 times from the time of the crash until 11:34 a.m. the following morning. And that text messages from his phone were included, though they could not be captured in call detail record. The police report indicated the crash happened February 21st, but also in one place stated an officer conducted follow-up interviews on January 24th. It's unclear why the charge against Jones wasn't filed until months after the incident. There's no indication that the charges and the decision to retire are connected. It doesn't really make me happy. It makes me look at another black athlete that is struggling. I hope this guy gets it together, man. Beating Tom Aspinall would have further legitimized his career. I don't know that he needs it. He won unbeaten in 20 UFC fights, won 16 UFC title fights. He's done it all. But what happened today opens the conversation for us to question whether or not he ran away. I will go to my grave believing he quit instead of fighting that guy.
And to be honest, if Jon retired when he beat Stipe, no one would have said a thing. There would have been no issues with that whatsoever. That's his right. You don't have to continue fighting. But the fact that he didn't, the fact that he strung Tom along and messed us all around as fans, and the heavyweight division and Tom, and the fact that you don't want to fight someone because you think he might beat you, well, that's just straight up pussy shit. Simple as that. And the fact that he said he was going to fight, but then now that he doesn't, that's what's going to affect his legacy. If he just walked off into the sunset, that would have been great. And maybe 2 years down the line, he could have came back.
We need to get this right. Francis Ngannou has never said, ever, that he's willing to come back. There was a hypothetical conversation between his coach and Luke Thomas, Eric Nixick and Luke Thomas, about if he could come back. He never said it. So that question was not fair to Francis Ngannou. And then the subsequent slander, not fair as well. It's also ignoring the fact that Francis Ngannou has a contract with the PFL. He can't just waltz back into the UFC. Now, they could co-promote. We all know that's not going to happen. So it's a pointless and useless follow-up question. Could they have not done something in Las Vegas in front of all the fans before the press conference, after the press conference, before the weigh-ins, after the weigh-ins, in the middle of the card on Saturday, before the fight, after the fight, presenting Tom with the belt, saying, you are the man, this is the glamour division, you are the baddest man on the planet, you're the heavyweight champion, you've done it all right, everything we've asked of you. Why not do it like that? But there you have it. That's how it's announced. Dana White says that he got a call the day before and Jon Jones is out. Now, I think what happened was Jon Jones did this interview with the Nelk boys where he all but said he was done, which was interesting because this interview was conducted last Saturday after the DBX card. And Jon had been telling us for quite some time, I already told the UFC my plans. I'm not sure why they haven't done anything with it.
Having said all of that, I think he's just playing the game and trying to create the appetite. If he's not, he's gone off the deep end, then his legacy will be forever tarnished. He'll be known as the heavyweight that was scared of the elite fighters. Simple as that. You know, and that sounds like strong words. It sounds like I'm being mean. I'm not. I recognise the greatness of Jon Jones and what he's done throughout his career. It's hard to deny. But the fact that he won't fight Tom because he's big, because he's agile, because he's younger, because he feels like he doesn't need to give him an opportunity, straight up bullshit. He's the interim champion of the world.
This is #1 bullshit.
And we know we've had this conversation a million times. And Dana just said recently that, you know, we're getting close to a point where they're going to have to move on to kind of put up or shut up, defend or vacate.
Tom could have the heavyweight championship. I don't really care about it. My body doesn't lie in belts anymore. I've created something much bigger.
We're talking about a kid that started this thing at like 19, 20 years old. He has spanned 3 different eras of heavyweights and light heavyweights. He did the Vitor Belforts and the Shogun Huas and the Rampage Jacksons. And then he moved on to the Rashad Evans and myself and Alexander Gustafsson into Santos, Reyes, Anthony Smith, all the way back to Stipe. Nobody gets that amount of time at the top.
I am grateful that I got to watch him compete as a light heavyweight. I'm glad I got to see all of those. It was thrilling many times. It was exciting many times. It was interesting many times. And it was certainly dominant basically every time. Not quite, but basically. And that is special. He's a special fighter. There's really no getting around it. I feel very grateful.
MMA community is reeling after the stunning announcement that Jon Jones, the reigning UFC heavyweight champion, has officially retired. He broke the news with an emotional post on X, expressing gratitude to his fans and reflecting on his storied journey inside the octagon. In his message, Jones wrote, "Today, I'm announcing my retirement from the UFC. This wasn't an easy decision. But after deep reflection, I want to sincerely thank everyone who supported me throughout this incredible ride." His words marked the end of an era in the sport. UFC President Dana White later confirmed the retirement, saying, "Jon Jones called us last night and let us know he's stepping away." With that, one of the most talked about chapters in UFC, history has closed and a new one begins. Tom Aspinall is now officially recognized as the undisputed heavyweight champion. Dana also mentioned that Aspinall will be in Las Vegas throughout International Fight Week, where the UFC plans to meet with him to discuss what's next for the division.
Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
With Tom Aspinall being an officially champ, who is the number one contender right now? Whether it's
so International Fight Week starts Monday in Las Vegas, and Tom will be in Vegas all week with us. So we'll get together with him and figure out what's next.
The MMA world was left stunned as news broke that Jon Jones, one of the sport's most iconic champions, has officially called it a career. The heavyweight king announced his retirement with an emotional message on X, reflecting on his incredible journey and thanking fans for their unwavering support. Among the first to react was boxing star Jake Paul, who didn't hold back in his praise, calling Jon the GOAT. UFC middleweight Julian Marquez also chimed in, finding it odd that such a monumental announcement came without the usual fanfare. He pointed out that Dana White mentioned it briefly after a fight, and because of that, Marquez isn't convinced. We've seen the last of Jon Jones. Fans shared similar feelings, while many were heartbroken. They also celebrated Jones' legendary career. One fan wrote, "Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time," while another said, "GOAT status earned. Much respect." Several fans credited Jones with helping bring mainstream attention to the UFC, calling him the face of the promotion. For much of the modern era, the user known as Frogzilla posted a heartfelt tribute, saying, "Thank you for giving us a reason to watch and love this sport. You weren't just a fighter, you were a phenomenon. Your skill, your fight IQ, your dominance, it might be generations before we see anything like it again." Still, some fans are holding on to hope. They pointed out that Jon said he's retiring from the UFC, not necessarily from MMA. That sparked speculation about a potential blockbuster showdown with Francis Ngannou. One fan asked, "So you're done with the UFC, but could the Ngannou fight still happen?" Others chose to simply appreciate the moment, feeling grateful to have witnessed Jones in action over the years. One user commented, "Thank you for an unforgettable career. Just having seen you fight live was a blessing." Another fan, Jake Hurricane, expressed his admiration by saying, "One day, they're going to make a movie about you, one of the greatest sports stories ever told. Thank you for the memories. You're the greatest to ever do it." Even fans skeptical of a Tom Aspinall matchup gave Jon his flowers. One post read, "You didn't need Tom to prove your greatness, he needed you. He'll never be another Jon Bones Jones." And perhaps the most striking message came from a user named Yasuk, who declared, "You are the greatest octagon fighter dead or alive." Jones himself was clearly moved by the outpouring of love. In response, he said, "I'm completely overwhelmed right now. I love you guys so much. Thank you." Whether or not we've truly seen the last of Jon Jones inside the octagon, one thing is certain: his legacy is unmatched. The MMA world may never see another fighter quite like Hammond fans. Everywhere will be feeling this retirement for a long time.